Hello friends, can you believe it? If you'd told me when I made the first Diablo Golden Ticket video in September of 2020 that I'd be making the final video in August of 2022, I'm not sure if I'd be more shocked that it took me 2 years to finish a 16-episode video series, or that I finished a 16-episode video series. But here we are. At long last, Prince Aidan, heir to the throne of Khanduras, is getting ready to find Diablo, the Lord of Terror, in his lair 16 stories underground. Hopefully, he'll finally get some closure, or if not, at least some revenge. I want to offer a sincere thank you to everyone who's come with me this far, and if you stick around to watch the video, you'll hear a bit more about what I have planned next. Oh yes, that's right. You can't get rid of me that easily. I've taken possession of your soul now, and as hard as you fight it, little by little I will rise up and... who am I kidding? I'm too lazy to be a villain. Let's play some Diablo. Prince Aidan is well aware that he may die today, and so he casts one last brooding look at Adria's cleavage before once again chickening out and not making a move. By the way, there is going to be some canonical follow-up to this relentless headcanon I've injected about Prince Aidan's little crush on Adria, but unfortunately you're probably going to have to wait another half-dozen years for me to make that video. Suffice it to say that it's not Aidan's imagination. She has been sending him some subtle signals that she'd be interested in hitting that. Diablo has installed a flashing welcome sign, just in case Aidan wasn't quite sure where to find him. In canon, Morena and Jazreth are backing him up down here, so just imagine that they're skulking somewhere behind him just out of sight, silently slinging spells and arrows in all directions with just a little too much white showing in their eyes. There's not a lot of conversation going on because all three of them are, to be frank, kind of losing their minds. Aidan's version of level 16 contains basically only two enemies, advocates and blood knights. This is actually a terrible combination since advocates are a massive pain in the butt to kill with a melee weapon, and blood knights are near impossible for a pure non-hybrid warrior to kill with a bow. Weapon switching is really unwieldy in this game, so I ended up opting for melee only down here. That means I have edited out a lot of footage of Aidan chasing advocates around and swinging his flail through thin air where advocates were standing 0.5 seconds ago. Aidan does at least by this point have maximum fire resistance. Lightning too, but that doesn't really come into play down here. So what's Aidan's plan at this point? All this time he's been honing his fighting skills and getting stronger in various ways, but he's also been learning enough about Diablo from the tomes he and his friends have found to realize it's not going to come down to a simple trading of blows. He can't just end Diablo the way he ended the Butcher. There are still a lot of things he doesn't know, but he has learned a few things. Diablo was buried under the Haradrim's monastery, imprisoned there in something called a soulstone. So Diablo wasn't kept physically here, but his soul was inside a stone and could communicate with people from there, and could even attempt to possess them. Diablo tried his damnedest to possess King Leoric, but only succeeded in driving him bonkers. So, the key to Diablo's plan, his desire to walk free in the world of Sanctuary, is in finding a host weak enough that he can take their physical form. The idea of a child was even mentioned specifically in one of the demonic tomes, which must be where Lazarus got the idea to abduct Albrecht. But so far it appears that Diablo is still trapped. Otherwise, he'd be rampaging across the land by now. yeeting virgins onto kitten bonfires or whatever. Okay, look what we found here. A closed room just to the east of the staircase. This is our hint that we're going to have to explore the rest of this level to find a way into it. So while we slaughter Blood Knights and Advocates ad nauseum, let's keep our eye out for anything that looks like a way into an ominous closed-off chamber. So anyway, yeah, Diablo's not free yet, but he has managed to influence people like Lazarus. He's grown enough in power that even from his prison, he can start to manifest lesser demons, raise the dead, and otherwise inflict terror on the people of Tristram. So long as his soulstone remains underneath Tristram Cathedral, Diablo is going to continue destroying the town, even if he never finds a host. So here's another closed chamber, but with a thinner wall around it. This suggests a secondary objective here in this corner of the level. We're going to have to keep exploring to find a way to progress any of this. So what Aidan knows he needs to do down here is to find Diablo's soulstone and somehow destroy or dispose of it so that it can't influence anyone else. He suspects that won't be an easy thing to do, but he's already done something no one else has managed to do, which is simply getting this close to it without losing his gosh darn mind. See, he's not stupid. He's noticed that look in Morena's eyes lately. The way she lights up when she catches the slightest whiff of the pain he feels over his brother and his father. He's noticed the tangles forming in her unattended hair, and just before dawn at the Rising Sun Tavern, when she thought he was still asleep in the next room, he caught her carving strange symbols into the flesh of her forearm, with a vacant look in her eyes as though she didn't even feel the pain. He's been watching Jazrath too, that Vizjerai infidel, seeing how his lust for knowledge has slowly taken over his thoughts and conversation, to the point that he barely speaks anymore except in disturbing non-sequiturs. Aidan has seen the way Jazrath studies the corpses of the demons they kill as though he's trying to unlock something from them. And last night, Aidan slipped out of the inn and watched Jazrath burying carefully wrapped books in the dead of night. Tomes from the labyrinth bound in human flesh. Vile volumes that he'd promised Aidan he would burn. Aidan knows that the demons are corrupting his allies, but he knows that confronting them about it would only turn their wrath on him. And yet, through all the trials in the labyrinth, Aidan alone has somehow remained clear-headed. He is the strong one,
you, my friend?
and he is the one that's going to save Tristram in the end, whatever it takes. However many healing potions it takes. Pepin's like, "Your Highness, are you going to war again? Where are you going?" "To hell." "With what army?" "I'm going alone." "No, you aren't," says a voice behind him. Morena's voice, smooth as silk, with a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "You won't get rid of us that easily." Somehow it sounds like a threat. Jazrath says nothing at all, simply looming, his knuckles white where he grips his staff. "Come if you must," Aidan says, "but stay back, keep your distance, for your own safety." "Yes, Your Highness." And so they return to the twisting, tortuous passages of the labyrinth that the Horadrim built to contain Diablo, a prison which has now merged with hell itself in some unfathomable way. Why is Aidan the only one not losing his mind, he wonders. Maybe because he's always been guarded, always questioned everything. He was the only person who always detested the Archbishop and kept his distance. Do I see a way into something? King Leoric underestimated Aidan. Aidan made it through the war in Westmarch. He made it to the bottom of the labyrinth. Aidan is the only one who hasn't been changed by all of this madness. Aidan does ask one last question of his traveling companions. All those nights huddled over drinks at the rising sun, they were the closest thing he had to friends. One last warm spark of gratitude flares up inside him before dying away completely in that cursed darkness. If you survive this, he asked them, afterward, where will you go? He doesn't say we. I'm going home to the Rogue Monastery, says Marina, at Eastgate Keep. For just a moment, she seems like her old self. I'll have stories to tell that will put even Kashya to shame. Maybe Akara will even give me Kashya's job. Ooh, a lever! 3 closed areas and 1 open area with a lever. The structure of the level becomes clear. Okay, so what did that do? Aha! It opened the room in the right side of the level. Because I've played 15 levels of this game already, I'm guessing inside that room is another lever. Aidan looks to the sorcerer next. And you, Jazrath, where will you go? Jazrath says nothing. It's obvious what little trust he ever put in Prince Aidan has long since vanished. Morena speaks for him. Jazrath told me he's going east. Not home to the sanctum, but to someplace called Lut Golain in the desert. Trying to find out what happened to some mage called... Enough, says Jazrath. My affairs are my own. Morena falls silent, and Aidan forges ahead. It's the last conversation the 3 of them will have. If you're wondering why I got carried away with headcanon there, I'm actually oh so subtly setting you up for Diablo 2. You're welcome. This is not a room so much as a spiral path for maximum inconvenience. But, I mean, where did you think we were? Do you think customer service is a big concern here? Pull the lever. Why do we even have that lever? And now, on the far side of the level opposite us, that room has opened up. That last lever, by process of elimination, must be the one that gives us access to Diablo.
I gotta pawn some of this stuff.
I'll just take a little shortcut here through the magic of editing. And there it is. Getting a bird's eye view of the level for a moment to orient myself. And this seems like a good moment to do the big reveal of how I plan to handle Diablo 2. Besides slowly, obviously. I mean, I do 8 videos a year on average, so... Anyhow, Diablo 2 is a much larger game, and I'm probably not going to play it all the way through on all 7 character classes, but I am absolutely going to show you Sorceress, Amazon, and Necromancer, and weave all 7 classes together, at least in headcanon, into a tale that's about as close to canon as it gets. So the main character of the Diablo 2 story will be the Sorceress Isendra, not only because she's canonical, but because Sorceress is the only class I already know for sure I can finish the story on. I'm also going to explore the Necromancer Zul, who keeps showing up in canon. And also the Amazon Cassia has a part to play. So those are the main three I'm going to flesh out for you, but I'll be making references to their other companions from time to time, as canonically there is a barbarian and a paladin tagging along with them the whole time. And then in the last act, they're also joined by an assassin and a druid. Frankly, Diablo 2 is the point at which the world really begins to come to life, and the overall story arc of the series gets laid down. If you want to understand Diablo lore, I highly recommend you check those videos out. Before facing the imprisoned demon lord who possessed his father, Aidan decides to do a quick wardrobe change. Mostly for symbolic reasons, he will be approaching that soulstone in his role as the crowned monarch of Khanduras. Pepin's like, oh, so you didn't need all the healing potions? No, I used them all. Give me more. Give me all the healing potions you have. He dumps out literally all the gold he's got on him. How many will this buy? Are you all right, Your Highness? Yeah, His Highness is definitely not all right. And so the three heroes go back down to hell one last time. The dead-eyed prince with his vampiric crown, the silent, twitchy sorcerer, and the shadowy rogue with the empty smile. It seems they're too late in finding the soulstone. Diablo has already incarnated, and he is surrounded by an army of Black Knights. Aidan manages to lure some of them away, and we'll imagine that while he does that, Morena and Jazrath are taking turns wearing down Diablo himself with hit-and-run attacks from opposite directions. Morena laughing almost maniacally as she dances over the hellish landscape, loosing arrows. Jazrath summons bizarre Hydra guardians. Fire and lightning erupt from his hands. Aidan returns, and this time he manages to lure Diablo and only one of the knights around the corner. Morena and Jazrath keep the advocates and blood knights distracted in the other room, while Aidan goes toe-to-toe with the devil of Tristram. Aidan can feel Diablo's fire scorching, blistering his skin, but he hasn't spent all that gold on enchanted armor and weapons and potions for nothing. He's spared the worst of the damage. He wears Diablo down through the same dogged, obsessive persistence that's gotten him this far. One final blow pierces the demonic creature's heart with a fragment of its own shattered ribcage. Caustic blood spews out to baptize Aidan in his horrible moment of victory. Embedded in the forehead of the demonic corpse is the soulstone Aidan has been looking for, containing Diablo's essence. Once he removes it, the corpse reveals its terrible secret. Young Prince Albrecht gasps his last breath, looking directly into the eyes of the older brother who just killed him. Aidan suddenly knows what he must do, but whose voice exactly is guiding him?
The soulstone burns with hellfire as an eerie red glow blurs your vision.
Fresh blood flows into your eyes, and you begin to hear the tormented whispers of the damned. You have done what you knew must be done. The essence of Diablo is contained. For now. You pray that you have become strong enough to contain the demon and keep him at bay. Although you have been fortified by your quest, you can still feel him, clawing his way up from the dark recesses of your soul. Fighting to retain control, your thoughts turn toward the ancient mystic lands of the Far East. Perhaps there, beyond the desolate wastes of Aranok, you will find an answer. Or perhaps salvation.
The end. The story of Sanctuary does continue, and you know I won't be able to resist telling it to you, so stay subscribed here and or follow me on Twitter at games_shell, and you'll always be the first to know when I make something new. Thanks once again for spending all this time with me. I'm not a professional content producer or influencer. I make videos for a few special friends, and you are one of those friends. I love knowing that you're watching and enjoying yourself, so please leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to see in the future or what you've enjoyed most in the past. Goodbye for now, and happy adventuring.